here's our homestead. The only thing that exists is the center piece, which is a large room that comes with the research station. Let's say hello to the research station. Hello. And this will give you research missions that you can do in the various Slipworlds, as well as homesteads. Let's interact with it now. We can see that there is the Palea forest missions, homestead missions, and Deserts of Kemet, and then more Slipworlds will unlock later on. Let's pick it up, and it says, it starts with quite basic objectives, which is, embark and then catalyze small things. So, but we can just pick up the first one, and then we already have the basic homestead objectives, which says right there on top right, build a medium building and a weapon crafting station. Let's hit B, and this is our building UI. You can see that you can place with the left mouse button, cancel the placement with right, move buildings by pressing Q, and E to disassemble buildings. And we have structures, stations, and decorations tabs, which is empty right now, but you would unlock more as you progress further by completing missions and so on. But for now, we can do a medium building, a medium room. And you can place it anywhere you want. As long as it's blue, that means it's placeable. If it's red, that means it's probably colliding with something, or maybe you don't have enough resources to build it yet. But in this case, we can also snap it to the exit from the large room perfectly. There we go. Let's just place it, and now we have a medium room. Now it also suggests that not suggests, but the objective states that I need to also create a weapon crafting station. Let's go ahead and do that. It is the only station I can craft at the moment. And same as rooms, if it's blue, I can place it. I can use my scroll to rotate it, the placement. And I don't have to put it in the medium room. I prefer to put it in a large room. But just so you know, in the smaller rooms, you can only place one station, but in the large rooms, you can put multiple stations. And I treat the center room as the kind of main base of operations. So some of the essential stations I want to have near my research station. So that's why I put it right here. Yeah, you can see the objective updated. Now it says interact with the weapon crafting station and craft a weapon. Now let's craft our first weapon. You will remember in the tutorial level when we exited, it gave us 3 blueprints, 1 helmet and 2 weapons, if I remember right. And you have them right here. One was the carbine rifle, which we don't have enough resources for, and one is the blaster, which is white, which means since it's not grayed out, that means you can see we have the resources needed. Now let's craft it. It says transaction in progress, and boom, it's done. It's now crafted. But where did it go? You also saw that it said transaction in progress. Everything you craft, as well as everything you extract from the Slipworlds, be it resources, blueprints, artifacts, what have you, they all go through the blockchain so that they're securely registered to your account. So hence the transaction, it was, as soon as it got crafted, it registered with the blockchain, and now you own the blaster that you just crafted. So you can press tab to open your inventory. You might already see some differences in the inventory compared to what you saw in the tutorial level just before. The Homestead inventory, you can treat it as your wallet. If you're familiar with the term wallet, which is in the blockchain, basically, it's where you see all your assets and do various things with it. So similar to that, all these things you own. Now, I don't have much, but I do have blueprints and resources, which I can also filter by doing this. But it doesn't show the item you crafted. That would be an equipment piece, so it's under the equipment. Let's switch over to equipment by clicking this. And here we have our current loadout. And if we click on the weapon, now we can switch between the carbine rifle and the blaster we just crafted. Let's put that, let's save. So now, as you can see on the back of my character, I have a new blaster. I can just scroll to shift. Now I have a brand new blaster. That looks quite cool. We can also give it a go here. We're safe in our homestead at the moment. We can just shoot around. That looks pretty powerful. Yes, so I will keep this. Now what does it say? Interact with the antenna by your landing site and embark to the player forest. So I guess we're ready to drop down to our first Slipworld, if you want to follow the objectives. And I already interacted with the research station to pick up the first objective for the Pala forest. And you can see that I cannot pick up anything for desert yet. It does say I need to complete the Homestead Milestone 1. And then Milestone 1 is, I need to build a few more stations. And to get the necessary resources, I do need to drop down to the forest Slipworld. So we can do that now. Now to drop down to Slipworld, you just need to interact with the antenna, which you should be familiar with from the tutorial level, this structure. You just interact with it. And you can see that we have currently 2 different Slipworlds available. Now I should talk about the Slipworlds a little bit before we drop in. Slipworlds are generated on the server in runtime using our procedurally generated technology we call Slipworld Constructor. Using this tech, we create, whenever there's a need for a new server, we generate a new Slipworld. And it's procedurally generated. That means the landscape, the points of interest, the boss locations, where the chests might be, the amount of loot, how many blueprints there are, everything is generated randomly, procedurally at that moment, which means every time you drop down to a new Slipworld, even if it's the same Palea forest, it'll be different. So every time you have to explore, you won't know where to go immediately. You have to explore and go through certain challenges and stumble upon things, lots of elements of surprises, different points of interest with traps, mini puzzles, ambushes, and what have you. So basically, each Slipworld is a unique sandbox where you can hopefully have some fun in and have some emerging gameplay experience. But enough of that. Let's choose the Palea Forest, which I have an objective for. Confirm. You can see the stats and the loadout I have. If I had another loadout, I could have selected another one, but at the beginning of the game, I don't even have a loadout station, so I cannot assemble a different loadout right now. So I should just drop as is. One thing to note is that here's 2 party selections, public and private. Public essentially means that you're open to join others and form a team. So if you're alone or you're playing with friends, you can choose public party to maybe fill up the remaining slots in your party. You can team up with up to 4 people. So this means you're open to partying up with others. And the other one is private. That means if you want to solo or you want to only play with your friends, you can just kind of lock it in private, so only play with 2 people, even though the team size is 4, that sort of thing. I'll keep it private. I'll keep it public. Maybe we'll end up playing with someone else. Hopefully, they don't ruin the video. But let's see. Let's click next. I don't have any consumables or anything, so let's just ready up and drop down to the Slipworld. And you can see I have the objective to my right. Some information about the basic controls. my equipment and the team info, which is just me for the moment, so I can just ready up. And we are in our first actual Slipworld. And you can see there's a landing site or extraction site over there, which is good to keep in mind. Later on, we will have a full world map where you will be able to see the things you've discovered. We don't have it yet, but it's coming. And yeah, the objectives start easy. So the first one is catalyze Thamnos bushes, 20 of them. So you would go around and find these bushes. Obviously, if you're new, you don't know what they look like. You would just look around and explore. You know, point at things. What is this? This is a Raptos tree. We're looking for a Thamnos bush. That's not a tree to begin with. So, but that's how we would kind of explore and find things. Let's see if we can find it. Here I see this is a Thamnos bush. So I can just catalyze this and pick it up. And now my objective has updated. So I need to do this 19 times with the Thamnos bushes. I can see basically these orangey small bushes that are kind of blending quite well with the grassy environment. They are my initial objective. So, as you can see, it is quite easy to start with. But let's continue. There's a landing part. And this is a small point of interest. Ooh, let's catalyze these as well. I don't have to only catalyze those. I can catalyze other things as well. And they all give resources I need essentially to build stuff and craft things. Here you can see that it says insufficient catalyzer upgrade. That means I'm not, my tool is not advanced enough to be able to catalyze this. I need to do more research missions to learn more about the environment to be able to catalyze that. But I can do these rocks, which gives me iron. And here's another bush. And I just need 7 more. And here's a plant that can heal if I just stay with it. It says Sunalaris. I can also catalyze this, which is something I'll probably need to craft healing related consumables, for example. So you can catalyze you can catalyze and harvest most things in the Slipworld, and that's what's unique about powers. Oh, need to deal with the turrets. And this plant is shielded, so you need to melee attack it to break the shield. And the rest is history. Just catalyze it and pick it up. On catalyzing creatures, some creatures won't yield any resource when you catalyze them. Those are usually the ones that are spawning as a result of being a horde. So for example, whenever you call a dropship, it triggers a horde, a wave of enemies, and they're usually not catalyzable. They tend to disappear pretty quickly. But yeah, in case you see them around and catalyze, and if they don't give anything, just so you know, it's because they're kind of like extra creatures that spawn in the world. Here's a blueprint, an Imperial helmet blueprint. That's pretty neat. Blueprints are quite rare, as well as artifacts, so if you do find them, you would want to... Ooh, Pelea helm blueprint. This is a biome armor set helmet, so this is even more valuable. So I will definitely want to extract that and not lose it. And how are we doing with the objective? We've done 16 catalyzations of the bush. And I see there's 4 more around here, so I will be able to complete that. Let's see what our next objective says. Allies small Raptors trees. So it is quite basic in the beginning. The objectives are easy, but it's about surviving these worlds and exploring. So what you need to do might be simple. You will most likely run into challenges and other players as you're dealing with things here. Now, I think you get the gist of how the objectives work now, and that's the fact that you have to do them to progress further, unlock more structures and stations and buildings in the homestead, as well as upgrades for your character. But now let's talk about some of the Slipworld specific elements. Now in front of me you see the extraction site, and we talked about this before in the tutorial level you saw, and that's how you would interact. That's how you would extract things. But although you've seen it before, let me just do it here as well, because I do have some blueprints that are quite valuable, so I do want to extract those. So just to reiterate how important this is, let's do it again. Let's interact with the packaging station. Let's take the blueprints and these resources to secure them. I'm not limited to one. I can also do another one. Let's package 2. So I have 2 containers. Let's call the dropship. And this will probably annoy some creatures and trigger a wave. There we go. Let's deal with these. Let's pick this up here. Just dealing with small crawlers. They're not that hard to deal with, but they can gang up on you. They tend to be sneaky. They don't, like, they stay put or don't come towards you. They kind of try to do like a hit and run. So they're, oh. But they keep you busy and you want to extract, so. And I just died. I did not even pay attention to my health. So yeah. I was actually playing down how easy they are, but gotta give it to them, they killed me. So now I will speed up and give up. And now you'll get to see what I mean by the blood fungus stuff. Now I dropped everything I had in my inventory. Well, actually, I don't have much in my inventory because I did package the stuff, so now I have empty cargo that is laying around in the extraction site that did not get extracted, so not good. We need to run before anyone else picks it up. And you can also see that I have spent my respawn allowance, which was 1. You can also see it on the top right, and you can also see the Slipworld timer. This Slipworld is quite new. It still has 58 minutes. So I think we're okay. At least on the Slipworld time. And here's the blood fungus. This is mine. And here's the container I have. But if you saw previous before I died, I did manage to throw the other container in the dropship, and I believe I managed to extract those. Let's take a look. Yes. So the valuable stuff actually did end up in the orbit, so that's good. And now let's take our remaining stuff. I guess let's get our inventory back. Catalyze this. And we get... we only had memory left, I guess. It goes up. Memory and consumables. And that's it. This I don't necessarily have to extract. I can just take it back. And the package is just empty. So this is just... This is just now an empty container. But yeah, that was an interesting extraction. I wanted to teach you guys the basics, but it ended up being a bit more interesting. But you understand the importance of extraction and how dangerous it can be. And now I only have one life left, so I need to be careful. But I'm just interested in showing you guys some of the Slipworld elements, so I'm not going to bother with the objective, and I'm showing you the extraction, and that's also how you would depart. We just board the dropship, and that's it. And there we have Forge, right there. And forges are where you can purchase strands, especially powerful weapon strands and weapon ability strands, more importantly. But they are quite expensive. They cost 500 each, and I only have 160. So let's get more memory. I have consumables anyway. Let's get this fruit plant, which gives me lots of memory. Now I have over 500. So now we can I can show you guys how to get a strand from the forge. But first, let's deal with the flutes here. So that gives more. Oops. Oh, that's an elite. So it has a. You can tell that it looks different. Also, it's shielded. I mean, it being shielded doesn't necessarily mean it's an elite, but it's looking unique. So I break the shield. My health is not great, so let's just plug this in and use potion. Need to stay away from these eggs. I don't want to spawn more fleas. Oh, it's shield. Needs to be there. I'm aiming at the eyes. The nitrum also does some nice damage. But yeah, in the forest, these flukes, as long as you keep your distance, they are manageable. But you know, keep an eye. Look, if you look at my health, it's pretty low again. But I did get a shard since it was a strand. Since it was an elite, elites tend to drop better loot, including strands. And this gave me 30% more melee power, which is good. You saw the fluff just ran into a night room. So that's just free loot from me. Now, let's take a look at the forge. So it has various weapon strands, and they're pretty powerful. If you hover over the strand icon, you know, 100% more weapon critical hit power. This gives a lot of different stats. But I'm mainly interested in the radiation ball, the ability strands, which currently only has radiation ball. And if it doesn't have something you're interested in, you can wait for another 270 seconds, and this would refresh, and you will see a different set of strands. But we want the radiation ball shard. Something is attacking me, so I need to hurry. And now I have a weapon ability. Maybe I can use the weapon ability on this creature. You can see that in the crosshair, the top section of the crosshair, you have new indicators showing the ability. And I guess it's charged up now, so I can maybe just press Q to use it. quite powerful. It did a lot of damage to that floof, but it also kind of shook the eggs. Luckily, not enough to break them, but one of them broke. So it spawned a creature. There we go. But that's what you use forges for now. If you take a look at your inventory, you have the big ability strand slot filled with a radiation ball shard. And the weapon ability you use by hitting Q. So if you do this, you can see the eggs are quite sturdy, but it still does a lot of damage. Let me maybe I can find an enemy to try, but let's wait for the ability to charge up. You can see the icon kind of filling up. Now let's find a creature. We kind of clean this area nicely. There's another extraction site, which is good to keep in mind. And there's a slightly bigger floof. Yes. So that's how strands work, and how and you can see how much you benefit from having them. Obviously now we're dealing with basics, you know, normal roaming creatures. And we did deal with an elite, which was quite challenging. But just to reiterate, strands, in case I didn't mention it before, strands are enhancements you can put on your loadout. They leave me alone. I will explain it. They're session based. Basically, they will disappear if you leave the Slipworld. So they're just temporary session based enhancements that gives you a lot of power. And the more advanced loadout, the better gear you have, the more strands you would have. So the more enhancements you can put on. But yeah, just remember that the strands themselves are not persistent. They're tied to the Slipworld you're part of. So as soon as you leave, you will lose the ability strand and all these passive strands. But this is something you'll want to do if you want to deal with the boss, especially if your gear is not really up to the task, because they're quite challenging, and these will help. But they're not your primary objective. They're just something you can consider them as bonus. You happen to collect memoria while you're doing other things, and then you stumble upon a forge, and then you pick up a strand from the forge if you have enough memoria, or you find them on the chests that are around, so that you become more powerful to deal with other players, the creatures, and the boss creatures in the world. So yeah, that was the forge and the strands. All right, so what else can we show in this Slipworld? Went through the memoria, the strands. There are different points of interest. There's the giant tree, for example, which probably has some rare resources. Could go there and go for it. But if it's known to have rare stuff, it might be contested. Other players might be there, and you might have to engage in PvP. It's just part of the game. But for the sake of showing different stuff that exists in the Slipworlds, here's looks like an alien ruin. I can just go in. These ruins will contain chests that can give different loot, such as artifacts, which is really rare, or strands, which is what we just talked about, right? And they will be quite. This one also gives a strand if I spend memoria, but I'm not interested in that. There's a maclog point. You can, while aiming at it, or just once it's centered, you can just press E to get to it, and then you can explore this small alien ruin. There's an alien chest. We open it up, and there's a strand that gives us more shield. Later on, these ruins will contain different challenges, like mini game. I don't want to say mini games, but you would have to meet certain conditions and do things like puzzles to unlock the good loot, basically. But these will be kind of available in the Slipworlds, these alien ruins, and they will contain much more later on. Let's explore some more. We might maybe I can spot some. I think there's a mega processor there. And mega processors they tend to contain heavy resources around them, so you can just throw them into the processor to process them there. So if you're down in the support for a lot of resources, you can kind of do those. There's a landing pod, crash landing pod, which would have some loot there, but we've seen it before. Let's continue with our exploration, and there's an abandoned human site, so you can see that there's a structure there. We can just go there, maybe heal up before. And there's an elite. You can see it has an ability, a specific aura, so that means that might be a bit harder to deal with, but I feel brave enough to. But maybe I can pick the other chunky crawler separately. Use my weapon ability. A little bit. Don't forget to call out. Especially at the beginning of the game, you are hungry for every single resource, the basics, carbon, fiber, what have you. So just don't forget to catalyze things you can. As soon as you kill something, try to harvest it. And there it is. Let's see if I can just do the radiation ball, which slowly eats away its health. That is hitting me. I am gonna die. And I am dead. Am I far away from the landing? Oh, of course. I did die before, so I lost my. I lost my chance at the respawning. So I lost everything that was in my inventory. As you saw, I dropped. So it's now there to be picked up by someone else. But luckily, I did extract once. I did extract some items. So you can see that I have my blueprints and those resources I had packaged before. So although I died, this was actually perfect to illustrate how important extracting is. So I don't go fully empty-handed now. I am returning home, even though I failed. I'm returning home with some goodies, such as blueprints and resources. So I think we covered the basics in the Slipworld and the Homestead, but let's do some more building just to show how much you can actually build as you progress. So I did take the liberty of giving myself a bunch of different resources to kind of speed up this showcasing. But let's see. To complete the milestone 1, I need to build an armor station next. So let's just go ahead and do that. And like I said before, I want to keep the more common stations in the centerpiece large room. Gadget we can just put on the side here. You can scroll to rotate a little bit so it's facing perfectly. You can also put a cooking station here. That's also done. And now I completed the milestone one for the homestead. And that will unlock more buildings. It will give me a more powerful catalyzer, and it will unlock some consumable recipes. So let's do that. And let's see, homestead milestone 2. It's time to build more advanced stations. Fair enough, and that will also unlock even more stuff. You get the idea. While we're here, I believe I also completed this. No, I didn't. That was a lie. I did not complete that. So yeah, now let's see what I unlocked by completing milestone 1 in Homestead. So if I press B, I can see a lot more stations to build. Few structures. If you remember, there was only medium single piece before, and a lot of different decorations. So you get the idea. You unlock stuff, then you can just build. You can build more in your homestead, and of course, as the game evolves, more and more would get added. But let's see if I can do something interesting here. I do like the bush, which was there you go. So decorative, looks nice. You can do different things, but let's also do something more purposeful. So when we think about stations, things you actually need, you have these refinement stations, and let's put down, and these are exterior. You have to put them outside. They cannot be used inside. But yeah, they're big, noisy stations to refine resources. So let's put this. That was fiber. Let's also put carbon and iron. And if you don't like their placements, you can, in the build menu, you can see you can press Q to move. So you just click to pick it up once you press Q, then you can place it again. You can also disassemble, which you would get some of the resources back. So don't forget, you may not get everything back. And yeah, refining is quite important. So let's talk about refining. So in Providence currently, we have 3 basic resources. We have fiber, carbon, and iron. So most living things will give carbon if you catalyze them, such as creatures. Most plants will give fiber if you catalyze them. And most kind of mineral resources, stones, will result in iron. Now, these 3 resources are just the first basic raw material, if you will, and each of them will have to be refined to be able to build advanced things. And that's when where the refineries come in handy. So here's a carbon refinery. Let's see if I have what it requires. And here you get the idea. Basically, you combine the resource with the fuel, and then it will result in a refined resource. And you can see that you have 2 recipes right now. So you can turn carbon into refined carbon, and to do that, you have to have carbon and then fiber. Now, as you realize, you might realize now, the fuel for each refinery is one of the other basic resources. So in this case, for carbon, the fuel is fiber. Let's take a look at fiber. For fiber, the fuel is iron. And for iron, it is carbon. So you need a lot of these to use one another. But they're all very commonly found basic resources. But let's refine carbon just to show you guys how it works. We can do this. Refine carbon. So in the inventory, we can select carbon. Let's just put 100, 107, 103. And then for fuel, let's put just 300 of this. Assign input materials. Let's start refining. And now it's giving me refined carbon. And it is refining. And you can see it's getting added. And this will continue as long as you're in the Homestead. And we will improve this later on, so it will we want it to continue even if you're not in the Homestead, because certain processes, certain advanced crafting or refineries might take longer than you want to kind of stick around for. So, but you get the idea. Now you have a refined carbon. So if I do resources, I should see refined carbon in the, and it's still refining, so it's adding more and more. So let's see if I have anything that requires refined carbon. I don't think I unlocked anything that requires it yet. So I am a bit ahead of myself. I haven't unlocked advanced buildings, but you get the idea. The raw materials, they start as basic, then you have to refine them to get to an advanced state, and then you will actually have to refine them once more to create the strongest optimized resource. Yeah, that was just the basic resources and the refining process for those. So those are used very commonly, and they come in different states as I just showed. And this one is still refining, as you can see. Otherwise, the other resources can quickly categorize them. I guess we can split them into three. You have components such as frames that I'm currently clicking on. You can see gloves frame, helmet frame, ballistic vest frame. As the name suggests, they are used in armor crafting. So when you have armor pieces, blueprints you want to craft, most of them will probably require these frames. Maybe I can show you. Let's see what I have in the armor crafting station. Okay, I only have this one. The Palea helm I extracted from the Slipworld previously. This is quite advanced. It does require more unique stuff such as refined fiber and resin and tendrils. But the Imperial armor set, for example, which is can consider it as the basic set, those tend to require frames and basic fiber, that kind of thing. And other resources are, processor components, extractor components, shell parts. Shell parts is, I think, the tooltip says it's for shell weapons, so you can see that they're used in various things, such as components are usually used in deployables and maybe some unique structures, and then some of these organic resources are for consumables, and so on and so forth. So there are lots of resources to build the various things with. You can see here we have consumables, healing potions. In the cooking station we have food that you can also kind of create and take with you in the Slipworlds, and weapons. But yeah, what else can we build? Well, it didn't quite snap, but it's okay. It looks quite alright. Let's see what else I can put here. Deployables. Loadout station. This is quite... I would use this quite a lot, so I want to put this somewhere here. I think I put too many stations, so the large room is filled up. The medium room, I can put it here. There we go. But yeah, I believe I covered most of the basics and went through a lot of new stuff. Not necessarily everything, but I think you should just play the game yourself to see more. Keep in mind that this is the closed alpha playtest phase, which is still exclusive, so you do need a redeem code to enter the playtest. But we have a lot of codes to give away, so if you follow us on Twitter at PlayProvidence or join the Discord server, if you're quick about it, you'll probably get one of the keys so you can join the playtest. If you do get to join, we would love to hear your feedback. Also, any issues you might find, if you report them, we'll do our best to fix them before the early access. Again, it goes without saying, but all our early supporters, all our playtesters, we will, even if we remove your assets during this testing phase, we will reward you later on with airdrops, both in game or could be outside of the game with various rewards. So, so hopefully you will continue to support us. Otherwise, I believe that's it. Until next time, thank you.